I want to thank you for your service. It's been really challenging to try to get full understanding of the who's included in the number of people who've been evacuated, right? We think it's really important that over 120,000 people have been evacuated in 2.5 weeks. That's miraculous. As someone who knows just the challenges of trying to escape a situation like many were escaping in Afghanistan. We've evacuated also 6,000 American nationals, some who are, as you say, Afghan Americans. There are, we have one constituent who was an elder man, and he didn't want to be evacuated without his adult children, and there's some complications in trying to create the paperwork that is necessary for that to happen, because in family reunification, the way our current system is set up, you can't apply for reunification for some members of your family in certain classes, right? The other thing that we are seeing that I am extremely panicked about, and I've been having a lot of conversations, not just with the state, but with Speaker Pelosi and appropriators on the Appropriations Committee, is we airlifted a lot of people. A lot of these people are going to go into military installations in the United States or abroad. But as you know, the airbase in Qatar or here in Wisconsin, that is considered American soil, right? Because it's American airbase. And my worry is that refugee is categorically someone who gets a refugee resettlement, not just someone who's escaping, right? And it's like sort of fits into the category of being refugee. But in the United States, the only people that are refugees are people who have received refugee resettlement. And those are the only people who qualify for resources under our refugee resettlement programs. So if you have somebody who is airlifted from Afghanistan, who is in a military base in Qatar or in the United States, they are going to be considered asylum seekers, right? Like people just coming to our border because we are their first country of entry. So they are not going to be much different than the people at our border in the southern border. And if you seek asylum, when you come into a country, obviously internationally, you have a right to seek asylum and make your case, but you don't get resources as part of the refugee resettlement. And we are going to have a lot of people who are going to arrive in our country who are going to be in situations like you are if you are a refugee in Lebanon, or you're a refugee in Turkey, or as I was a refugee in Kenya, where you are a refugee, but in the United States, you don't have the ability to have those resettlement resources. And that's very problematic for people who are trying to get acclimated into life here. And so trying to find a way to create that category for them so that they can qualify for some of these programs has been challenging, because it's new to us. We haven't, right? Like we're not a host country. We have never been a host refugee country. We've always been a resettlement country. And that's where the vetting challenges are. That's where the categorization challenges are. And it's a new problem that's going to take some time for us to figure out. Now, the other piece to your question is what happens with people who are left, who are trying to leave. And, you know, we received a lot of those cases. People who either couldn't get to the airport, or people who chose to stay because they didn't want to leave their vulnerable families behind. And we will continue to work on those cases. It is promising that the administration says our withdrawal doesn't mean the end, right, of our ability to get people out. And so we will hold them accountable for that and continue to push for that. I recently wrote an op-ed, it was published in CNN, talking about why it was important for us to take in refugees. Talked about some of the changes that we have to make in regards to policy that a lot of people haven't been thinking about. And we also talked about how we have to lift the cap, because even if we classified some of these people as refugees, that means we can't let them enter the country because we haven't allocated enough resources. And so we're asking for the cap to be lifted and for it to be increased to 200,000. That is still a lot less than what Reagan allowed in. And so we'll just continue to push for that. But again, thank you for your service and thank you for caring and raising this issue.